In this demonstration, we are going to understand Git basic commands. So let us start with a very basic fundamental Git commands. For that to do, we need to go ahead and first create a folder. Now let's go ahead and create a folder here. So here is the folder. Now I am going to rename this folder to backend scripts. Now this is the folder where I am actually going to put all my data. Now to make this folder into a repository, I need to initialize the Git. So how can I initialize the Git is, now from the directory, open the Git bash. You should be very clear. From that directory only, you should open the Git bash. So I'm just zooming it up so that I can do. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use a utility called Git init. Okay, Git init. Okay, the moment I run this command, okay, it is going to initialize a Git repository from this folder. Now let me show you the folder. It is very empty. This folder is empty. Okay, now let me go ahead and do an initialization. The moment you initialized, okay, it has created an empty repository. You can see initialized empty Git repository in this path, that is our folder, and you can see there is a folder called .git that got created, and this is a very important folder. In case if you remove .git, that means this is no longer it's going to be a repository. It is just a regular folder. Okay, now let us go ahead and see the next command called as Git Status. Now we are actually on the master branch. Whenever you actually go ahead and create a repository, by default it creates a branch called as master branch. There are no commits yet and there is nothing to commit. Okay, now what you can do is, if you want to create or copy a file, use Git Add to track it. Okay, now let us go ahead and create a file here. Now the easiest way is, go here, create a new text file. For example, hello.txt, or the easiest thing is hello.html. Let me put some HTML code to make our job easy. So this is my HTML code. A sample HTML code. Now this is my HTML code is ready. Now let us go ahead and see whether my HTML code is ready here or not. Do ls. Yes, you can see. Now let us type the Git status once again. Now you can see it is in a red color. Now the next utility that we are going to do is Git Add. Now let me type Git Add and the file name that we have created. In our case, the file that we have created is hello.html. Let us go ahead and do hello.html. Now what this command is going to do? This command is going to move the file from the staging directory or indexing. Okay, it will add it as an indexer. Now let us go ahead and add it and type Git status. So you can see we are in the master branch and there are changes and a new file. Okay, now what we are going to do is, let us go ahead and commit. Okay, what this commit is going to do? Commit is going to actually commit your changes and sets you to a new commit object for your remote. Now let us go ahead and do that. Git commit -m first file is created. Now you can see the Git status. The first file is created. There is nothing. Working tree is clean. Hope that was clear. Now, as we were looking at, I have something doubt here. On master branch, what is this master, or how do I know the list of branches? Just type git branch, which will actually show the list of branches that is there on your local machine. You can see Git branch and it is master branch. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to understand some changes. We will do some changes and see how we can manage these changes. For example, Git Status. If you see Git Status, I have a file here. Do an ls. I have hello.html. Now what I am going to do is I am going to add one more file. For example, wrong.txt. Now what happened? In this wrong.txt, I will enter some data. Now I changed this file. Let's go back to our terminal and see it. You can see that wrong.txt. Now what I want to do is I made some mistake. Now I just want to reset it. Okay. How can I go ahead and do a reset? Git reset --hard. Now let us go ahead and do the Git status. Still the wrong is there. Now let us go ahead and see here. Still the wrong is there. Now what this Git reset is going to do is, let's go ahead and see whether we have the data in this. Yes, we have the data over there. Now even you see Git reset hard head is now at this hash. First file is created. Okay. Now what we will do? Let's go ahead and add to the index. Now Git status. Now this is added to the index. See, till now it was in non-tracking stage. That's why Git reset did not work. But now let us go ahead and do the Git reset. See, there is no change. I still have the file. Let me refresh and show you. I still have the file. Now let's go ahead and see the list of Git status. It's clean. See, I don't have the file. Now let's go to our folder and you can see the file. Because you are in untracked stage, you are actually unable to work on the Git reset. But now you are able to work on the Git reset because your files are in the tracked state. Hope that was clear. Now what we are going to do is, let us go ahead and create a branch. Now there is something called branch. If we want to create a branch, okay, sorry, yeah. Now what happened? Let's type git branch. You can see there is a branch that got created called as feature 001. Now for you to just be an example, now you can see git branch will actually show you all the branches that you have. Now what exactly is a branch? For example, if you have a piece of code which is working by someone, now you don't want to disturb his piece of code. Any mistakes that you do, it should not impact his piece of code. So what you will do is, from his code you are going to create. So think his code is in the master branch, and what you will do is you will actually go ahead and create a new branch which will actually make a copy of his code, so that you can work on this branch. For example, in this case what happened is, I have something called git branch. Now I am in the master branch. I will use a command called git checkout to switch from master branch to branch 001. Now you can see I have changed from git local branch, that's a master branch, to branch 001 and do an ls. You can still see hello.html because hello.html was there in your master branch. Now you can go to hello.html. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a new file called as branchfile.txt. Branchfile.txt. Okay. Now in this file, this is a branch file. Now I have a good branch file here. Let us go ahead and see our repository. Git Status. So Git add the file to the indexer. Now there is another way. Either I can mention the file name or I can do something called as dot. This will add everything. Git.add, and now you see Git Status. A new file got added into the index. Now let us do the commit. New file added in branch 001. Now let us see the status. Now you can see that I have two files, which is expected, branch file and hello file. Now till now you are in branch 1, so you have two files. Now what we'll do is, let us switch from branch file to the master. Git checkout master. The moment I type master, observe it very clearly. We have switched to master branch. Now, can you guess how many files should be there? Are you expecting two files? Let us see. You will only have one file because the file that we have done, branchfile.txt, is created in branch 001. However, in master, you have hello.html. That means these two branches are different. So whenever I have two branches, it is easy for me to manage and do any piece of code. In case if I do some mistakes, that's absolutely fine. I can go ahead and do whatever I want until and unless I don't touch the other branches. For example, a junior has joined into your team. You don't want to give access to the entire repository. What you can do is, you can create a branch and give access to that branch. Once you give that access to that branch, he will be able to do anything in that branch. He can fiddle, he can screw up the entire branch. That's absolutely fine. Hope that was clear. Now let us go ahead and see here. I only have one file. Let us verify it from the file explorer. You can see it here. Let me show it in a different way. Let me put it side by side and to make your learning interesting. Now what I am going to do is git checkout. Let me jump to the branch 001. You can see the moment I changed the branch, on your left side you can see. Let me go ahead and do the git checkout master branch, and you can see automatically it got disappeared. Now you can ask me, where is it exactly storing? Yes, that's a hidden part. So you can see .git, this is where all of your configuration, hidden files, everything is stored, and this is a very important configuration file and you are not supposed to touch this. Now let's go ahead and understand. What if I want to add the data from your master file into this? For example, what you want to do is, you have a explorer and you have this. Now if you look at git status, I'm in the master branch. Now what I'm going to do, I want to copy all the files that were there in my branch 001 to the master. So what I will do, I will use a command called Git Merge. Now Git Merge will actually merge two branches that you are working on, and it will also switch to the latest branch. For example, Git Merge and the branch you want to merge. For example, I want to merge branch 001. Let us see. Now can you observe, the moment I have done git merge branch 001, it has actually merged the master branch as well as the branch 001. And now you can see, once it is merged, that means I am expecting the branch file in master. Let us go ahead and see. Currently I am in the master. Now let us go ahead and do an ls. Now let us switch git branch sorry, it's git checkout branch 001. Either you are in this branch, you have two. Now let me switch it to master branch. Still I have two files here. Hope that was clear about the branches. Now what we will do is, it is actually good. It was great. Now what? Everything is happening in my machine. Okay, but what if my system crashes? I'm sure you're going to lose the data. Now, without losing the data, how can I go ahead and do the activities? For example, I just don't want to lose my data even though my system loses, or if my system crashes. What you can do is, you can go ahead and use the servers. Now, how can I do that? Now, there are two things. One is you can go ahead and use a server, or the other part is you can go ahead and subscribe to the Git hosted services. As we have learned in our previous classes and the introduction, we know that there is something called GitHub, there is something called Bitbucket, which are used for source code management. Now let us go ahead and see the Bitbucket console, how it exactly looks like. For example, this is my Bitbucket login. Once I log into my Bitbucket, this is how it looks like. Okay, let me go ahead and log out and show you how do you do it from scratch. So for example, it is expected that you are going to have a Bitbucket account. So you can go ahead and click on sign up and create a new account. It's easy to create. Now this is how your Bitbucket looks like once you log in. And you can see I can click on create a repository, import a repository, or create a team. Now the way we have done git init, okay, and initialize the repository, I can go ahead and initialize a repository even here. Hope that was clear. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to actually push the data that we have in our machine. In our machine, we have these two files, branch file and hello.html. What we are going to do is, we are going to push these files onto the cloud systems, onto the cloud machine. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Now, for every repository, there is going to be a URL. Okay, when you create a repository, click here. You need to create a repository on the remote machine. So whatever you have done till now is on your local machine. Whatever you are going to do now is on the remote repository or remote server. Let us go ahead and create it. I want something called backend scripts. You can go ahead and see that the file name is backend-scripts. Now backend-scripts. Is this a private repository or a public repository? There are two types of repositories. If it is a public repository, anyone can access. If it is a private repository, only few people who has credentials and give the authorization, they can go ahead and access. Now you can see, if I want a readme file, you can click on advanced settings and click on create repository. Now I have a file called as backend-scripts. Now whatever the data that is there here, how can I push it? Yes, we are going to do that. Okay, let's go to our terminal and then put the push command. Let us see how can I use the push. Let me go ahead and get the URL. So this is my URL. You can see backend-scripts. Now I'm going to put it here. Git remote add origin https and my username and my project and then backend-scripts. You put enter. Now what happened? The remote repository is added. Okay, let us go ahead and see whether I have the data or not. see I still doesn't have any data. Backend hyphen scripts, I still doesn't have any data. Now what we will do is, let us go ahead and push the data. We have added the reference. Now we are pushing the data. Git push, okay, -u origin. Now because I have put a U and I did not configure the upstream server, it is showing me like this. Otherwise, what I can also do is, I can put something like this, the branch name. Git push -u origin master. Now what happened? It is going to upload. Now let us go to our server and see whether the files got added. You click on source or refresh the page. Voila! You can see that 2 files that we have, it got added. You can see it. You have 2 files here, the branch file as well as the hello file. Hope that was understood clearly. Now what we are going to do is, for example, now everything that we have done is on the local machine. What if there is a change that happens on the remote machine? Maybe for example, I want to add a file. Click on add file. Okay. Now for example, I want to add a file called as new file from server .txt. Now this is a file created in server or remote repo on Bitbucket. Now click on commit. See, whatever we have done with the help of command line, we are exactly doing that using a web browser. Now the committing is done. Now what? I have a file called new file from server.txt. Now how do I get that here into my local machine? Go to your command line, then do this, git fetch. The moment you type git fetch, it will go ahead and get the metadata of whatever the changes that are done on the remote server. Now you can see there are some changes that happened on the remote server and this is the change ID. Now let us go ahead and see whether the files are still there. Still I don't have a file. The next thing is, it is called as git pull origin master. Enter. This pull command, what it will do is, fetch will actually do the metadata download, pull will actually download the real file, and now you type ls, you can still see the new file from server.txt, and it is the same file that is there here. So you have new file from the server and you have the 3 files and you already have 3 files here. Now what? If you want to see all the changes that are done, you can do git log. This will actually tell you all the changes that are done in this machine. For example, these are the 3 changes that are done on this repository. Okay. So in this case, it's telling us Nishant Kumar, I have a couple of aliases. So aliases, I can actually go ahead and create n number of users on this machine and assign different machines with different statistics. Now in this case, it is like git log with different log statistics. Similarly, you can see the same logs on your server. Okay, you can go here, you can see there's a master branch and you can go to the commits. Now you can see whatever was there on your system, you're able to see all of them on the remote machine. Hope that was clear. Now, as we progress into the next modules, we will go ahead and learn few other concepts.